Alright guys, here we go. Got a video for you here on the quadratic formula. Update, I am pushing your quiz back till Tuesday, and in a little bit I will tell you what you need to know for that quiz. So again, I apologize for not being there on Friday, but no worries, we will be all good. So the quadratic formula is something you guys learned back in Algebra 1. You probably even learned a little song to it called Pop Goes the Weasel. And I'm not going to sing it for you, but if you'd like to, you go right ahead and sing it to yourself. Quadratic formula. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. That's all over 2a. And that's when you're in standard form and you must be set equal to 0 for this quadratic. So what I will do is I will step you through one of them, and then you get to try the other one, and then we'll move on to the discriminant, and then a little bit of review for your quiz. So if it helps you, list your A, your B, and your C. So your A is equal to 1, your B is a negative 3, and your C is a negative 40. So what you're going to need to do here is you're going to need to substitute everything into the formula. So opposite of B means x is going to be equal to a positive 3 plus or minus the square root of, I like to use parentheses for substitution, b squared, so a negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times a negative 40, and this is all over 2 times 1. So now use your calculator or whatever device you'd like. Use your head if you'd like to. So this right here is going to be 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 1 times a negative 40 is positive 160 all over 2. So that's going to give you 3 plus or minus the square root of 169 all over 2. So now from here you just have to make sure you simplify. The square root of 169 is 13. So this is 3 plus or minus 13 all over 2. Now since these are all integers here, you must simplify. So that can get split to 3 plus 13 is 16 divided by 2, so x is equal to 8. And 3 minus 13 is a negative 10 divided by 2 is a negative 5. So since we had all integers there, you must simplify. If the radical is not a perfect square, then you're going to be left with a radical. But in this case, it was a perfect square, so you must simplify. Okay, so that's my turn. The next example is your turn. Pause the video, substitute in your A, B, and C, and solve using the quadratic formula. Go. Okay, so this one was a little bit messier. A is 3, B is 2, C is 5. So substitute in all of your information. You have a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5 all over 2 times 3. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 3 times 5 is negative 60. So that's going to give you a negative 56 inside the radical, which is fine. You know how to work with i's now. Simplify 56 and you're going to end up with 2 root 14, but since it's negative, it's 2i root 14. Now this is where you want to split. So this is negative 2 over 6 and 2i root 14 over 6. So you simplify to negative 1/3 plus or minus I root 14 over 3. Okay? Again, quadratic formula is old school. You did this back in Algebra 1, maybe a little bit in geometry. The only new thing is you're allowed to have negatives inside a radical, so you might have a funky answer with I. Okay? So then I have one more quick thing for you on this lesson before we talk about what's on your quiz. And that's the discriminant. The discriminant is just what's inside your radical in the quadratic formula. And basically what we can do is we can use the discriminant to figure out how many solutions and the kind of solutions we have in a quadratic before it even starts. Okay? So if you find the discriminant and you get a positive number, that's going to tell you have two real solutions. And here's why. What if you had like the square root of 6 or the square root of 16 even, and you have a perfect square? The square root of 6 would be plus or minus root 6, and this would be plus or minus 4. Since it's plus or minus, that's telling you you have two answers. If you have 0, you only have one solution. And the reason why is, what's the square root of 0? It's just 0. There's no plus or minus. So that's why you could potentially have, you're only going to have one solution. Okay, when in this guy, like I said, if this was plus or minus 4, you'd have two solutions. Now the last example is, what if you have a negative number? Well, if you have a negative, say negative 4, you get plus or minus 2i, which means you have two imaginary solutions. Okay, so that's just a little thing. So quickly, if I say find the discriminant and state the solutions, you just do the inside of the radical. So this is b squared, so 4 squared, minus 4 times a times c. So 16 minus 4 times 2 is another 16. So 0, which means you have one real solution. So that's all you have to do if I ask you to find the discriminant. Okay? So that's it for this lesson. That's video number 13. But now, because I'm not here on Friday, it's actually 3:41 in the morning that I'm making this video for you. I'm pushing your quiz back to Tuesday, but so you are ready to review on Monday, along with talking about the quadratic formula, this is what's going to be on your quiz on Tuesday. So you will have 4 simplifying radicals. That's the square root of 48. Simplify it. Or what's the square root of a negative 8? And you would simplify. Or it might even be multiplying. What's 2 root 3 times 2 root 4? So go back and review your radical skills. You will have 2 simplifying with i's, and that's where you either have to combine like terms, maybe FOIL, remember I squared is equal to a negative 1, and then the division one where you have to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate. You will have 3 equations that you have to solve by square roots. So that's like this guy. So you would take the square root of both sides, subtract the 2. You will have 2 solved by completing the square, which is what we spent our entire day Thursday talking about after your video that you watched, and 2 where you have to complete the square to write in vertex form and state the vertex. Okay, so that's what's going to be on your quiz on Tuesday. So just to see how you're doing, I would like you to simply try those 3 problems on your own. I want you to solve this one by completing the square. This one I would like you to complete the square and write in vertex form. And this is just a starred one. It's not going to be on your quiz, but chances are it might be on your test. I want you to write this in intercept form. So go ahead, pause the video, try these 3 on your own, and then when you're ready, press play and see if you got all the correct answers. Watch out for fractions, by the way. Well, let's see how you did. This first one was solving. The constant was already to the right. So all you had to do is take half of 5, which is 5 halves, squared is 25 fourths, add that to both sides. And then combine your like terms. Negative 5 plus 25 fourths is going to end up giving you 5 fourths. Write this as the square of a binomial, so you have x plus and then half of 5. Square root both sides. The square root of 5 cannot be simplified, but the square root of 4 is 2. Subtract that over to the other side, and you get x is equal to negative 5 halves plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. And you're done. This one was vertex form. So this one, obviously, the first thing you had to do is move the 8 to the right. Factor out a negative 3. So when you factor out a negative 3, that's going to leave you with x squared plus x on the inside. So then half of 1 is 1 half, squared is 1 fourth, but 1 fourth times a negative 3 is a negative 3 fourths on this side. So 8 minus 3 fourths is a 29 fourths, and this is where you don't need to solve by doing square roots or anything. You just move that 29 fourths back over to the left, and your equation is y is equal to negative 3 times x plus 1 half squared minus 29 fourths with a vertex of opposite of the inside. So this is a positive 1 half in here, so your vertex is negative 1 half, comma, the outside negative 29 fourths, and you're done. This one was just to recap on what intercept form actually is. Remember, intercept form is just factored form. So all you had to do is factor this, and your intercepts would just be -4, 0 and -2, 0. Okay, so that was just a little review. The other things that you're going to want to brush up on, again, you're going to need to know how to simplify some i's, simplify some radicals, and solve by square roots. And just look through your goal packet, look through your homework. Worksheet number 2 is a really good review for this stuff. Bring questions on Monday, and we will take the quiz on Tuesday. That's it. This is Longo, and I'm out. See you. Bye.